Hey y'all, happy Saturday. Sorry I missed you yesterday. Wanted to jump on and share some additional information and update in regards to the lovely channel. So thank you for joining. If you haven't already, please subscribe, feel free to comment, share, all of the above. I wanted to just jump on because I know in the first couple of videos I touched a little bit on the why and the what and the when, and then I thought about it a little bit more and I thought, you know what, this is really hitting close to home. Even just those two videos and starting to think about things, it gets you really emotional, and I know that I am still a crazy emotional being in regards to some things and get teary-eyed at the drop of a dime. But wanted to just kind of let you guys know that, yes, a lot of these videos were done a year, 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 even. But, so I'm going to kind of go retro in with some videos, but definitely give you some updates in regards to what's going on before I share those videos too, or right after I share them. So you kind of know what's going on. It would make the most sense since I started this journey, because and out of grief that I might touch on that first. I'm not going to do that just because already I just realized I'm not ready for that yet. And some of the videos that you'll see, I'm in terror. I cry. I'm a crier. You'll see me crying. Sorry, the sun's setting and gorgeous in the background. But I know that some will be teary-eyed and it's going to happen, and it just is what it is. But I think what I'm going to do first is tell you a little bit just about kind of what happened and what got me here, and kind of what transpired to this big change, and then fill in the gaps. So here we go. Story time on a Saturday story time. So 2.5 years ago on Mother's Day, my mom passed away. We were very fortunate and very blessed. While with COVID, we were unable to see her for a period of time. A cousin of mine had called and said, hey, in April, or March, and said, hey, in April, I got to come down to Knoxville, Tennessee. I would love to bring your mom. You want to meet me? It's a 4-hour trip, obviously. So of course I said, yes, please bring her down. So we were really, really excited that she came and spent 3.5 weeks with us. And that was God's work. That was God's work, and that was my cousin Bob. And I'll forever be grateful to Bob for that, because there was not like I was going to say no, but he wasn't taking no either from her or from me. So especially from her, I think too, because of the travel. But she came to Charlotte. She was with us. That was 21, the spring of 21, so April 21. She came and stayed with us for 3.5 weeks. And one thing that many don't know is my mom actually had started having some issues with her speech years prior. So unfortunately, we didn't have her 100% for about 4 years prior to that. So like to hear my mom's voice and have a conversation with her, God, I longed for that while she was alive. But the fortunate thing is, when she was with us, I sat with her. And while she could not communicate, she knew everything that was going on, but she had a hard time pulling her words together and could not always say exactly what she wanted to say, and she'd get frustrated and the anxiety, and it was, one thing kind of compiled onto another. So fortunately, we had those 3.5 weeks. And I bring that up just to say, if you have time with a parent, grandparent, brother, sister, cousin, anyone that's of importance to you, spend it. Because you really don't know when that's going to be the last time. Yes, her health had not been that great, but she was in good health. It wasn't detrimental. And so during that 3.5 weeks, and we had a blast. We went out to eat. Her and I hung out every single day. I took her everywhere I went. So if I had to run Logan somewhere, or, she went to work, we went together. We'd go out to eat. We'd get ice cream. We laughed. She just didn't get to talk much, and I talked a lot. And it was really, really special. So, and it was hard to sit there and not be able to have her communicate back with me. And I remember a couple of times having to just walk in the kitchen and, wipe a tear, or go in the bathroom and have a moment, because she was sitting right in front of me and I missed her. I missed her being, But what happened was, when she returned home, they were in a temporary place because they were having some work done in their space. And she unfortunately fell the first night back, and she fell into the tub and she hit her head. It caused a brain bleed. While all the checks in the world had happened, we weren't unaware. And 2 weeks later, there was an incident, and she was with my cousin and had to take her to the hospital. And that's when we learned that she had a brain bleed. And it was, kind of, you just have no clue what is going to happen, right? And I tell you, God said to me, the universe, the being, whoever you believe, but I know it was God, and my being and my soul knew immediately she had 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks, and it was 2 weeks. And she died on Mother's Day. So, yeah, tough pill to swallow. I think it'll always be a weird pill to swallow, But, so I was home by myself, and I was home for another week following that. So I was home for 3.5 weeks, and I went, cleaned out her place, and went through things, and fortunately family helped me store things, and then I got in the car for the journey back to Charlotte by myself. I've driven a lot. That was my biggest trip by myself. I was a little fearful, but it was so therapeutic. And honestly, getting in the car and traveling, it's pretty therapeutic for me now. There's something about that. But I literally, on that trip back, God, really questioned God and just prayed a lot, because everything went sideways, and my future plans and my 5-year goals and plans and expectations of what I was going to be doing, maybe more than 5 years, but they were all wrapped around her and with her. So life just went on pause. And so that was in May, and we made it through the summer and her life celebration. And I'll be honest, a lot of it, I was just numb. I remember, but I don't know if I really felt a lot. I checked out. I checked the fuck out. And so when I got home and then I came for the celebration, we hid. And then we just kind of returned and went back to life. And nothing was the same. Nothing. And days just turned into weeks, just turned into months, just kind of kept flying by, and I still didn't have any feeling or didn't know what to do. And so thank God for counseling, and thank God for a lot of prayer. A lot of prayer, a lot of counseling, a lot of bad behavior too. It happens. But good behavior, it's like stress relieving, good, bad behavior, whatever, but it was good. And it was fun, and reconnecting and whatnot. So over these years, we've just kind of stumbled along, right? And then last summer we were home, and I realized, put your big girl panties up, as my mom would say, put your big girl panties on and let's go. So that's where my story begins. That's where my new story begins. So it was at that point on the way home, while Logan was sleeping, on another 15-plus-hour trip back to Charlotte, North Carolina, in the car, I said, that's it. I'm setting out my goals and setting out my plans, and I've got to move forward with some of this, whether she's going to be with me or not. So part of that was going to be me being a snowbird, and I've semi-made that happen. Well, I've made it happen now, but that's the deal. So that's something that I will talk about as well. So I set out and literally just got home and wrote down a whole bunch of stuff. I want to go stay in a tiny house this summer. I want to, go visit a couple places this summer, and I am going to do this. I'm going to do everything I can to continue to work virtually so that I can be a snowbird. And I, being a fully supported or fully responsible single parent for my child, I wasn't able to save like I wanted to, largely because of her loves, her soccer, and travels therefore, and other things. So this was honestly an unbelievable way for me to downsize and then stockpile cash. Stockpile, big time, because I was going to reduce all of my costs. So I went ahead and wrote it all down. I want a tiny house, and I want an RV. And the RV, I didn't know if it should be stationary or if I should pull it. I just figured, it's going to happen. And for the first time in those months, years since her visiting and falling and passing, I was kind of excited about something. So I started writing very specifics down about what I wanted. I knew what I wanted, that I wanted to pay it in cash, so that all I had to do was pay to park it. If I could have composting toilet, which didn't do well, talk about that later, and solar or something, then I'd only need, water hookups. And I, thought, geez, I could do a tiny house in the south. I could do a tiny house north. I can go between the two. And then it was like, I'm not going to be up north as long as I would be down south. So it would make more sense to, have something here. So then maybe I'd do an RV and blah, blah, blah. So long story short, I wrote very specific things down. And last November or last October, out of the blue, literally months, wrote it all in July. So October, it just started going. Things just started happening. And I tell you, everything happened. Everything was a sign. It felt intentional. It felt purposeful. And I just went with it. And that's why I am where I am now. Living in a tiny house, snowbirding, and feeling like I'm getting my life back. So I will fill in the gaps from there. So more to come. I hope you have a wonderful Saturday. Much love.